So we're starting off closing our eyes and breathing. And just noticing that you're breathing. And then after paying a little bit of attention to the fact that you're breathing, notice how you're sitting. So if you're like me, I've just started to lean forward. So I'm going to try to pull my spine back over my sit bones. Pull my top back and my head back a little bit. And then my shoulder tips, I have a feeling if I reach up and touch them, yep, they're rounding forward. So I'm going to pull them towards the back. So it's almost like I can stack my vertebrae and the backs of my shoulders against a pretend wall behind me. If you're lucky enough to have a wall behind you, you can even scoot yourself back onto the wall. And then put your brain, your attention into the back body. And lift up from the back of the body up towards the ceiling. So instead of thinking lift the chest, instead think of the backs of the shoulder blades. So the shoulder blades and the middle back and everything is lifting up. And then you can even put your hands on the front of your lower ribs and notice that just by lifting up from the back of the ribs, those lower ribs actually come in. So we spend a lot of time trying to pull those ribs in, but actually, if you pull the backs of the ribs up, the lower ribs will naturally come in. And then once you've kind of established that really lovely posture, try to relax through the front of the chest a little bit. And then come back to the breath. And you're breathing in and out. And maybe now you can close your mouth and breathe in and out through the nose. And from there, let's do a few rounds of counting the breath. And we're just going to do the same inhale and exhale. So we're going to inhale for 4 counts and exhale for 4 counts. So let's begin. Inhale, 1, 2, 3, 4. Exhale, 1, 2, 3, 4. Pulling those shoulder tips back. Inhale, 1, 2, 3, 4. Exhale, 1, 2, 3, 4. Inhale, 1, 2, 3, 4. Now exhale, 1, 2, 3, 4. And continue on your own, counting on your own for 3 rounds. And then as you're finishing your 3rd round, start to let go of the count and just breathe in and out. And then slowly start to lose attention on the breath and just coming back into the room. So I say lose attention to the breath, I mean concentrating on the breath. We're still going to be aware that we're breathing through the rest of the class. We'll use the breath as our focus. Every movement will have an inhale or an exhale associated with it, right? And then when you're ready, slowly open the eyes, but keep the gaze down at the floor. And then take your right hand behind you and exhale as you turn towards your right side. And then go ahead and turn the other way, left hand behind you, right hand over the left thigh. And then coming back to the center and walk your hands forward. Give yourself a forward bend. And even inhale and exhale, sigh out. Lengthen up the sit bones behind you, opening up that lower back. And then walk yourself up. And then, depending what you're on, start to move the height away from underneath you. And let's roll over our legs and come forward into a cat-cow position. So we're gonna be on all fours. So we're gonna be on all fours here. Good, and let's do some cat-cow. So we're gonna extend through the chest, hips move back, and then exhale, round through the back. And then inhale forward. And then exhale, scoop through the belly. And then inhale, extend through the back. And exhale, scoop through the belly. And inhale, extend through the back. And then we're going to take our hips back towards our heels, come into a child's pose, arms long, squeeze the triceps together. And then we're going to lift ourselves into downward facing dog. So keeping those hips back. Lift up through the rib cage. Bring those heels down towards the floor and straighten through the legs. And let's stay here 5 counts. 5 breaths, I should have said. Sorry about that. Two more long breaths. Good, and coming back to your child's pose. So keeping those knees wide, arms long, arms off the floor, squeeze through the triceps, forehead down to the floor. Use this moment to push the chest down towards the floor. Open up through the back of the upper back, the back of the upper back. Move your armpits away from the floor, squeeze the triceps. And then let's come back into our downward facing dog. So let's lift up from the lower ribs, lengthen through the back, hips back towards the back wall, come in downward facing dog. And 5 more long breaths here. Good, all right, one more child's pose. Bring the knees down to the floor, hips to the heels, arms long, make this active. So you're getting as long through the back as possible. Lift through the lower ribs, back is long, squeeze through the triceps. One more breath. And get ready, exhale, tuck the toes under. So this time we're gonna stay in our downward facing dog and lift your right leg up towards the ceiling and bend through that right knee. Reach the left heel down to the floor. And we're gonna actually try to touch the pretend person next to us. We're bending our knee, we're reaching that toe over. And then we're probably collapsing the left side of the body. So we have to lift through the left side of the body, turn the rib cage so it's square to the floor again, and then straighten through that right leg. And then let's bring our right knee to our nose, coming into a plank pose with the knee forward. My foot's off the floor, and then reach it back up to the ceiling. This time we're gonna cross that knee over to the left elbow. Hover, 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 and then lift it back up. And now we're gonna come forward onto the right knee to the right elbow. Hover, pull the chest forward, lift the knee off the floor, and then lift it back up. And go ahead and put the right foot down. Now let's lift that left leg up to the ceiling, and then bend the knee and try to touch the pretend person next to you so you're rotating open. And then I'm probably collapsing through my right side, so I'm squaring the rib cage towards the floor again. Lift that left leg up, square it off, and then I'm gonna bring my left knee to my nose and hover, and then reach it back up. Left knee to left elbow, and then reach it back up. And left knee to right elbow, cross it over. And lift it back up, and put the foot down. And let's slowly walk our feet to meet our hands. Hanging forward, Uttanasana, standing forward bend. And then just grab opposite elbows and let's swing side to side, right and left. And you can bend your knees or straighten them as much as you want. And then let's take our hands to our hips. Pull the chest forward, lift the ribs away from the floor, and come up with a flat back all the way to stand. Okay, bring your hands to your heart center at the front of your mat, into your Tadasana. My head keeps cutting off in these videos. It's very hard to get full length body. Let me move this back even further and see if that helps. Okay, so we're at the front of our mat, almost. I move way over. Okay, so we're at the front of our mat in Tadasana. Good, so find all four corners of your feet right now. You should have bare feet, no socks. And you're lifting up through the kneecaps, right? So the kneecaps the thighs start to really activate. Heels are pressed down into the floor. Inhale the arms out to the side, all the way up to stand. And then let's exhale today with the hands coming through the heart center. So we're gonna stop at our third eye center here, and then at our heart center, and then all the way down to the floor. Bend your knees or straighten as much as you want. Inhale to a flat back. Exhale, step yourself back, downward facing dog. Take a few breaths here. And then start to walk the feet forward to meet the hands. So we're just gonna do a few like that. Inhale to a flat back. And exhaling back into the legs. Inhale, come all the way up to stand. Bring the hands back to the heart center. All right, arms down and all the way up to the side. And exhaling, bring the hands all the way down through the midline of the body, come down to the floor. Inhale to a flat back. And exhaling back into the legs. And then let's inhale, take your right leg back. Exhale, left leg back. Downward facing dog. And then we're gonna walk our feet to meet our hands. Inhale to a flat back. Exhaling back into the legs. Inhale, come all the way up to stand. So we're kind of doing a mix of a half sun salute. Exhaling the hands down to our heart center. And sun salutation. Inhaling all the way up. Maybe facing this way. Exhaling the hands through the heart center. Here. All the way down to the floor. Inhale to a flat back. Flat back, look, bring your chest forward, look up, forward, flat back. Exhaling back into the legs. And then exhaling, right leg back, left leg back. Downward facing dog. This time, let's go ahead and inhale to a plank pose. And then exhaling back, downward facing dog. This time let's roll forward, round through the back, come forward. Do not drop the hips, lift the thighs, exhaling back, downward facing dog. One more time, inhaling, come forward, round through, but then pull the chest through at the end, lift everything up, and then exhale, lower all the way to the floor in one board. Try not to collapse through the back on those. Reach the toes away from you, tops of the feet onto the floor, tailbone moves through the heels. Inhale to a cobra pose, lift the hands up off the floor, keep the feet on the floor, and then exhale down to the floor. 2 more times, inhale up, lift the chest, and exhale down. This time, keep the top of the head is gonna be pulling back towards the ceiling and the wall behind you. Inhaling, come up, top of the head, shin is kind of relaxed down. Chin is down. And exhaling back down. Tuck your toes under. We're gonna try to lift directly to a plank pose. So lift the thighs off the floor, lift directly to plank, exhaling, downward facing dog. Bend through the knees, and then we're either gonna lightly hop or step to bring the feet forward. So if you're gonna hop, scoop through the belly, move the shoulders over the hip, wrists a little bit closer to over the wrist, and then hop yourself forward. Good, inhale to flat back. Flat back means a flat back, so there's no curvature in the spine. The chest is pulling forward, and then exhaling over the legs. Inhale, round, bring your body all the way up to stand, and bring the hands to the heart center. All right, keep going. Inhaling, arms all the way up. Exhaling all the way down to the floor. Inhaling to a flat back. So let's pull the hips back. And for this one, let's even bring our hands to our hips. Pull the chest forward, so you're really in a flat back. Look down at your feet. Make sure that the toes are moving in towards one another so that you're in parallel. Then exhaling, rounding over the spine. So there's definitely a difference between your rounding and your flattening of the back. Step yourself right back into a downward facing dog. And then we're gonna round ourselves forward into a plank pose. Exhaling all the way down to the floor. And let's do that cobra again. Roll the shoulders back, lift the chest, and bring the hands up off the floor for this one. Exhaling, lower down to the floor, and come back, downward facing dog. Let's lift our right leg up to the ceiling, turn the thigh under, bring the right knee to the nose like we did before, but this time put the foot between the hands. Turn that back heel down to the floor, come up, warrior one. So for warrior one, our hips are gonna be directly facing forward. Our hips are forward, so that left hip is coming forward. The left foot can even be towards the outside of that right foot. So it doesn't have to be completely in line. It can be slightly towards the out. So you have this wider stance to give your hips a little bit more room, right? So we're in warrior one, hands up to the ceiling. And pull those ribs back in. So if you're like me, we shove our ribs out, pull them back in, lift from that back of the body, just like we did in our seated posture. We have 4 breaths here. Push into that front heel. The front knee is bent. And the back hip is going forward. So the left foot can be out to the side. And then the left toes are facing forward, not to the side. Hips are facing forward. One more breath here. Good, and hands on either side of that front foot. Step yourself back, plank pose. Lower all the way down to the floor just for this last one. Inhale, roll the shoulders back, come back up, cobra. And exhaling back, downward facing dog. Left foot lifts up to the ceiling. Turn that thigh under. Bring your knee to your nose. Put the foot between your hands. Your heel comes down. Toes do not move out to the side. They're still facing forward. And reach the right arm up and then left arm up. Warrior one. So you're facing to the forward. So you're facing your forward. Pull the shoulders down the back and then lift the back up towards the ceiling. So there's like a string pulling you up from the back of the head. Bend the front knee. 3 more big breaths here. Lift up that back thigh. Bend the front knee. Don't lose it. And then bring the hands down to the floor. Step yourself plank pose. Lower yourself this time if you want to hover in the chaturanga for a beat. And then come down to the floor. Inhale, come up to your cobra, and exhaling back, downward facing dog. Bend through your knees and step or hop your feet forward to the front of the mat. Inhale to a flat back. Exhaling back into the legs. Inhale, come all the way up to stand. Bring your hands to your heart center. Let's go again. Inhale all the way up. Exhaling, coming all the way down to the floor. This time, let's step directly into a plank pose. Left foot back this time. Right foot, lowering down, chaturanga, or all the way to the floor. And then up dog on your inhale, which means that the thighs are off the floor, and I'm reaching my chest forward, and then exhaling back. And you can just do cobra all the way to the floor and cobra on that one if you want. All right, let's go ahead, right leg up. Bring your right knee to your nose, put the foot between the hands, back heel down to the floor, come all the way up. Warrior one, and then quickly exhale back to the floor. Step yourself back into a plank pose. You can always skip the vinyasa if you want. Just go to downward dog, either chaturanga or all the way to the floor, up dog or cobra, and then exhaling back, downward facing dog. And then we've got our left leg up to the ceiling. Inhale, exhale, put the foot down. Inhale all the way up to stand. Warrior one. And then exhale, bring the hands down to the floor. Step yourself back, plank pose. And then chaturanga or all the way to the floor, up dog or cobra. And exhaling back, downward facing dog. Bend through the knees. Exhale, jump or step and bring your feet to meet your hands. Inhale to a flat back. Exhaling back into the legs, and then inhale, come all the way up to stand. Bring the hands to the heart center. Okay, we're gonna come into chair pose now, Utkatasana. So for chair pose, we're going to bring our middle fingers down to the floor. So bend your knees, bring your middle fingers down to the floor, and then peel your rib cage and your stomach off the floor as you sit your hips back. Then we're gonna bring our arms up today and squeeze the triceps around our ears, and then try to hold for 3 breaths. So your hips aren't coming forward, your hips are back. Sit back. And then we're gonna fall over our legs, step directly, plank pose. And again, at any point, you can just step directly to downward dog. You don't need to come through the vinyasa. Here, all the way to the floor, or chaturanga, up dog or cobra, and exhaling back, downward facing dog. Take your right leg up to the ceiling, bring your knee to the nose, put the foot between your hands, draw yourself up, warrior one, and then opening up, warrior two, and let's pose for 5 breaths. So for warrior two, totally different pose than warrior one, but hips are in the same position. Hips are, so for warrior one, hips were here because the back foot, right, was turned forward. Hips still are facing slightly forward though in warrior two. It's just that the back toe is now facing out to the side, right? The back foot is facing directly out to the side. Our hips are still going forward, but our body is turning to the side, and sit down. That hip going forward will protect your knees. Okay. And then try to sit in it. We've got 2 more long breaths. Push into that right heel. Arms are out to the side. Arms are out to the side. Bend through the right knee. All right, take your left hand down your left thigh. Reach your right arm behind you. And then come back into your warrior two. And then let's come forward, bring your right arm forward, left arm over your ear into this kind of modified side angle. And then we're gonna come back into that warrior, peaceful warrior. And then we're gonna come back into that modified side angle. Kind of pretty, right? Reach your right arm over your body. Last time, warrior, peaceful warrior. And then this time, we're gonna take our right forearm to the right thigh, or if you're up for it, you can bring your right hand down to the inside of that foot. You can even, or you could use a block to the inside of that foot, here or here. And then take your left arm up to the ceiling And then for today, let's take our left hand behind our back and maybe reach for the top of the thigh behind you. And I like my arm in front because it's pushing the knee back. So my arm is in front of my knee. And then start to come into a little bit of an upper back bend here. If you can, look up at the ceiling, otherwise keep your head down. All right, and then from there, we're just gonna take either hand on front of that front foot and then step ourselves back, plank pose. Exhale, chaturanga, or all the way to the floor. Inhale, cobra or up dog. Keep going. And exhaling back, downward facing dog. I'm gonna turn around so you guys can see me on the other side. Okay, so we're in our downward dog. We're gonna lift our left leg up this time. Bring our knee to our nose, put our foot between your hands, and then turn the back toes forward, but heel down. Inhale, warrior one. Exhale, warrior two. Hold for 5 breaths. So my back hip is facing forward. My arms out to the side. My upper body is facing to the side. And arms are being lifted from my back. So that all that back work I talked about at the beginning of the class, that's still what we're doing. All right, take your right hand down your right leg, left arm up to the ceiling, and then cross it over the body as you take your right arm over the ear. And then let's do that again. So it's a nice flow, bend through the front knee, bend through the front knee, and then back. All right, this time we're gonna hold it, put the left forearm on the left thigh, or bring the left hand to the inside of that left knee. Right arm reaches up, but then back behind the back, maybe taking hold of that top thigh. You see I'm reaching for that thigh there. And then that helps pull the back open. Squeeze that back hip in. Couple breaths here. And then release the hands down on either side of that front foot. Step yourself back, plank pose, and then either your chaturanga or all the way to the floor, up dog or cobra. Exhaling back, downward facing dog. We're gonna bend through the knees and either lightly hop or step and bring our feet to meet our hands. Inhale to flat back, exhaling down to the floor. Inhale, come up, Utkatasana, and then push yourself up to stand, Tadasana. All right, let's keep going. So then we're gonna reach our arms down to the floor. This is less restorative today, sorry. It's a little bit harder of a flow. All right, inhale, come up. Sit back, Utkatasana. Sit a little lower, challenge yourself. Reach from the upper back all the way forward. Lower back, reaching it back. And then exhaling down to the floor. Inhale to a flat back. Exhaling down to the legs. Step yourself back, plank pose. Chaturanga or all the way to the floor. Up dog or cobra. Exhaling back, downward facing dog. Inhale, that right leg comes up, turns under, bring the right knee to the nose, foot between the hands. Back heel down to the floor. Let me turn around so I'm facing the right way for you. Inhale, warrior one. Exhale, warrior two. Pull the stomach in, pull the ribs in. Not floppy arms, instead really nice extended arms reaching up from the back. And go a little lower on that right leg. So that right leg's really bent. We're going for this right ankle on that front leg. Exhaling back, left or back, right arm up. And then come forward into your beautiful extended angle, extended side angle. And then that back foot, back arm is reaching behind for the top of that thigh. And then from there, let's open up into our Trikonasana, triangle pose. And from probably most of us will be on some kind of block and that on some kind of height, and that'll be behind our right leg. Right, so instead of forward, it's gonna be behind. And keep opening yourself up to the ceiling, rotate that right shoulder back, lift up on that right thigh. Both legs are straight. And then open that left shoulder up to the ceiling. Let you face me. Yes. All right. right, from there, look down at the floor, bend through the right knee, walk your back foot in, and take your block in front, about a foot in front of your foot. And we're gonna try to pop that left leg off the floor into our half moon pose. Okay, so for half moon, I've now opened up that left leg. It's in an outward rotation, pulling up on my right thigh, pull my ribs in, and I'm still getting long from the top of my head towards the wall in front of me. Reach the left arm up, open up. Just for your practice. And so if you can't to come into the balance, or it's a little hard from you, you just do some nice little popping. And you might put the foot down, and then you might try to put it back up again. From there, we are going to take our left hand down to the floor, bend the right knee, and we've turned that left thigh under. And just for a breath, just for a beat, we're going to take that left foot down. From there, we're going to start to draw ourselves up and come all the way into this sort of pyramid position. We're going to come into warrior 3, which is probably the least favorite of the poses for me. But we're going to do it anyway. So we're in our kind of pyramid pose here. Bend through the right knee, come onto those left toes behind us. And for right now, just keep your hands on your hips. We're going to come forward into the balance, and that back leg is going to be turned under. I know I'm backlit a little bit here. I'm just going to move forward so you guys can see me a little bit, even though I'll be headless. So my back toes are up, and I'm just coming into this balancing position where my body is working to be in the same line as my leg. And then if you want, if it's available to you, you can take your arms out to the side. You can bring your arms out behind you, or you can bring your arms out in front of you. I like to practice here with a little bit of a bent right leg because I have a tendency to over straighten. If you do that too and you jam your knee, a little bent leg might be nice for you too. So left arm forward, right arm forward if you can. One more breath. And then we're going to come to try to stand up and balance on that right leg with the left leg forward. So now we're coming forward, we're at the front of our mat, and we're going to bring this left leg forward. We're going to now take the left leg around the right leg and try to hook the foot behind the right leg. So we're in eagle legs position, okay? So from the side, it looks like that. From there, you're going to then take, I'm going to bend down. You're in the eagle legs position. You can come out if you want for a second to look. From there, your left leg's wrapping over your right. You're going to then take your right arm over your left into the eagle arm position, okay? I know it's hard to see me, so I'm trying to give you the different bits separately. So all together, it looks like this. Left leg around, right arm over. And then if you feel comfortable there, you can even do this against a wall. You're going to start to bend forward over the legs. And then we're going to come up and then reach everything out and release. Okay, from there, stand onto the right leg. Okay, stepping onto the right foot, we're going to take our left knee up and then pull. Hang on to that left foot and put it to the inside of that right leg. Bring your hands together at your heart center and come into tree pose, Vrikshasana. So then I'm still lifting up from my back up towards the ceiling. If balance is an issue, take yourself over to a wall and put that inside knee against a wall to help you balance. Okay, from there, now I'm looking down because I'm looking down at the camera. Ideally, you want to be looking directly in front of you. And then maybe you can take one arm up and then another arm up and pull the arms back from the shoulder sockets and lift up from the back. So find a place to focus in front of you. For balance, the gaze is probably the most important thing. In yoga, it's called drishti. And it's incredibly important for focus, for meditation, for balance. And then, just to show how important it is, bring your hands back to your heart center and then try to close your eyes. And I fall immediately. Right, you guys? Okay. From there, let's shake it out. And we're going to bring ourselves back to an Utkatasana position at the front of the mat. Chair pose, arms up to the ceiling, sit it back, and take 3 breaths here. And then exhale over the legs. Inhale, take your right leg back, left leg back. Exhale into chaturanga or to the floor. Inhale, up dog or cobra. And exhaling back, downward facing dog. Bring those heels, backs of the heels are really rooting down towards the floor. Lift the hips up towards the ceiling. And then let's take our left leg up to the ceiling. Bring the left knee to the nose, hover it for just a beat. Then put the foot between the hands. Right heel down to the floor. Draw yourself up, warrior 1. Opening up, warrior 2. Right hand goes down that right leg. And then come forward into your extended side angle with the hand behind the back. So wherever you're choosing to put that hand, just make sure there's a lot of integrity in the pose, meaning you're not turning over towards the leg, you're not sitting in that left hip. Everything is lifted. You're rooting through the legs and you're lifting through the side of the left rib cage. Pull the belly in, lengthen from the back of the head and the back towards the front wall. And stay here for 2 more breaths. And then start to lengthen through the left leg and switch your hands to the other side of the front leg. And we're going to leave our hand where it is behind our back for this one. It's a really nice shoulder stretch. And then pull the left shoulder back. And then from there, we're going to look down at the floor. And if you have a block, you're going to move with it. And you're going to start to try to balance in that Ardha Chandrasana half moon pose. And if that balance is really elusive, you can move to a wall. You can even do this one where you're perpendicular to the wall and you put your foot on the wall this way. So my foot's back on a wall now and I'm completely balancing. Can you do that? Come over here. And then you can open up. So Louis is going to try that over here. Yeah, and then you open up your body to the side. There you go. Okay, from there, we're going to take both hands down to the floor, turn yourself into a standing split, and then put the foot down into that pyramid position. Draw yourself up, back heel off the floor. So just your toes are on the floor. We're going to come into our warrior 3 like we did on the other side. So take your hands to your hips and then start to come forward. Bend that left knee slightly. Come forward into warrior 3. You're trying to keep that right hip turned under towards the floor. And then maybe take one arm out, other arm out. All right, coming all the way up to stand. So now I'm just going to face forward for you. Coming all the way up to stand, bend the left knee and start to hook the right leg over the left. And then this time the left arm hooks over the right arm and start to bend forward. And again, let me move back so you can see me better. This is the one where if you need to be against a wall, that's totally fine. You can bring your hips against the wall. And then come all the way up, release. And then we're going to come onto tree pose on the left side. So bring your right knee in, pull it out to the side, right foot goes to the inside of the left thigh, and bring your hands to heart center. Pick a point in front of you. Pull the ribs in, lifting up from the back of the body. Shoulders back. And then you can take one arm up and then the other, keeping that gaze forward, lifting up from the back. And then you can try to close your eyes there or bring your hands back to your heart center to close your eyes. And I fall immediately out of that one. And then we're gonna release that and we get to come down to the floor. So come all the way down to the floor. And let's come into a little back bend. So if you have a block, you can use it for this one. Otherwise, don't worry, you can just use you'll just have your arms helping support you here. So if you have a block, you'll lie down onto the floor, push the shoulder tips back into the floor, and then start to squeeze the belly in as you lift the hips up towards the ceiling. Pull the heels back towards your hips and roll all the way up. From there, you can take your block and put it underneath your lower back. Okay, or you can have it on the highest side. Or if you don't have a block, that's okay. You're just gonna use your arms as your block. So your arms are gonna be underneath you. Interlace the fingers, push your forearms down to the floor, really scooch the shoulders underneath you. And we're gonna be here for 5 breaths. Really move your chest up towards your chin, your hips up towards the ceiling. Keep pulling those heels back towards the hips. And then we're gonna move our right foot in a little bit towards the center. And whether you're on a block or if your arms are underneath you, we're gonna do this. I'm gonna go ahead and start to lift the left leg up towards the ceiling. Keep hugging that right leg in. Give it 2 breaths here. And then put the foot down. And then squeeze through the left thigh, hug in, and lift the right leg up. And then go ahead and put that foot down, lift up a little higher with both feet down. And then move the hands apart, take the block out, and then start to roll all the way down. From there, get your towel or a band or a yoga block and reach the right leg long on the floor. Reach the heel away from you. And so we're gonna have a really, really solid right leg before we do anything, okay? Push the back of the right hip down to the floor and push the right leg down and then flex that right foot. So I want that foot incredibly active. Okay, you can also do this with your foot against the wall, which would hold your heel and your foot in place and your leg in place. Bend through the left knee and take your yoga mat, strap, towel, whatever you have, and put it on the sole of that left foot. And then hold both sides of whatever you have down. So you're really pulling that left thigh into the left hip. Okay? Now from there, hold on to the straps for a second with your right hand. Take your left thumb and get it into the left hip crease and pull it away from your face. And maybe keep that left finger there for a couple of seconds. And then reestablish the right leg back into the right hip socket. The left leg back into the left hip socket. Okay, so now take back both ends of your strap. Keep pushing the right side of the body down to the floor. All right, from there, we're gonna reach our left heel up to the ceiling, and without taking the left sacrum off the floor, we're gonna move that foot towards our face a little bit. This should be a pretty intense stretch. And I've gotta keep remembering to pull my shoulders down to the floor. And that right leg's really active. All right, and then bring it back to neutral. And then take both straps into the left hand. Take your right hand onto your right thigh. Hold it in place as you start to move the left leg out to the side. But the second the right hip starts to come up like that, you got a problem. So you got to put the right hip back down on the floor and let it come out to the side. So I'm only letting the leg come out so far that my right leg stays on the floor, my right hip stays on the floor. So I'm getting a lot of action in the back of my whole right side of the back of my body. And then start to bring the leg back up to the ceiling. All right, and then we're gonna let it go over to the side. Let me move a little towards you. You're gonna let it come the other way over the body into a bit of a twist. So this is a stretch, but it's a really active muscular stretch, right? We're using our core to hold our body in place. So you can take your left arm out to the side now, take both sides of the strap in the right hand, let the left leg fall over, but we're not gonna go that far, right? Just gonna go to about there. And then come back up to the center. And then we're gonna just do one more action where we straighten the right leg, keep it on the floor, and then let the left leg come a little bit closer to our face. And then relax, take the strap off, and then exhale, slowly lower the leg down to the floor. And then just sit with it for a second. Shake the feet out and then notice, does one side of the body feel longer? Do you feel taller? Do you feel nothing? Just notice. Okay, other side, so we're gonna flex that left leg, make it super, super active, even maybe push it against the floor. Bend through the right knee. Take the strap, put it around the sole or ball of that right foot, and then reach the right leg up to the ceiling. Before I do anything else, I'm gonna take my right thumb, pull it in to that right hip crease, pull it down. I'm gonna turn so you guys can see me. So I'm taking my thumb into the hip crease and pulling it down so that this doesn't start to creep up, right? Okay. From there, keeping that right hip crease pulling away from me, I'm then gonna start to bring the right toes towards my face. Using my breath the whole time. So I'm gonna inhale and then exhale, move a little closer. Inhale, pull the hip down. Exhale, move the leg closer to me. Inhale, pull the hip down. Exhale, pull it up closer. Left leg is staying super active. All right, from there I can take both sides of the belt right into my right hand. Left hand out to the side, keep my left leg where it is, and then slowly let it open to the side without moving my left leg. Back of the shoulders on the floor. Take one more breath here. And then inhale, bring it back up. And then I'm going to exhale across my body, but not very far. I'm still keeping both hips down, or as much as possible. Right hip's coming up slightly. I'm trying to root it down. So you can keep trying to move the right hip crease away from the face. And then bring it back up to the center. All right, relax it for a second. Take the strap off. Just feel what it feels like in the air, and then exhale all the way to the floor. And then I'm gonna take my hips and extend my tailbone down towards the floor a little bit with my hands, and then just release and see how you feel. All right, last thing, turn onto your right side, come all the way up to sit, and we're gonna come into pigeon on both sides. So this is one where you're probably gonna wanna have a block or an extra mat. And unless you have super open hips. So if you have super open hips, then the supporting of the hip can actually be a little bit annoying. Otherwise, you're gonna take your right leg forward and your left foot back, and you're gonna be in a pigeon pose. So the less open that right hip is, the closer the right toes will be to the groin. So if you're way up here, right? And you can't sit down very far. You're probably gonna want your foot pretty far in. If you're sitting a little bit closer to the ground, you can start moving that front leg up. The main thing is that back leg is turned under. I'm not sitting here with my my knee bent. I'm over my leg in this really very aligned position. So if I'm gonna prop myself up, it's gonna be that back hip. I'm gonna stick a mat or something under the back hip, okay? All right, so we're gonna be here, inhale, and then exhale, come over the legs. And then what you can do once you're here is you can completely relax into it. You could use a block under your head, you can use a mat. You can also walk, I'm giving you some options. You can walk over onto that, towards the foot. That to me feels amazing. You could also walk over the knee. For me, the foot, for some reason, just is where it's at. And then just release. And keep breathing into those places where you feel stuck. So anywhere where there's tension or you're holding on, which is, you know, a lot in this position because our piriformis, our hips, everything tends to hold a lot of our anxiety. Breathe into that. So imagine you're sending the breath into those spots. And I swear it works. So you take a deep inhale into wherever it is that you want to focus, and then exhale and feel it release. If you've had your body over the foot, maybe bring it back to the center. And then to walk yourself up, just use your hands, go ahead and walk yourself up. Pull that front foot in a little bit, and then roll over a little bit onto the knee, and we're just gonna stretch the left shoulder. So reach your left arm forward, take your hand behind you, and then maybe take hold of that back foot. And this is where we're gonna get our shoulder stretch. So we're opening by holding onto the foot and then rotating our upper body towards the front. And use your stomach to lift yourself up to sit up here. And then we're gonna release that. And then just swing the left legs around. You can, if it's easier for you, come through a downward dog. I just like, once I'm sitting, I don't like to come back into my dog. I like to just stay on the floor. All right, that's the lazy part of me. All right, so left leg in front. And then again, it's all depending on your hip. Either your heel will be in or it'll be forward. And then we're gonna come forward over our legs. And you'll notice one side you're feeling an opening in a different place than the other side. Okay, so if you're gonna walk yourself over that foot, go ahead and do that now. There. Now keep the back leg where it is. So whatever you do, the integrity of the pose is in that back leg. It doesn't move. So I can move over to my foot and that back leg stays exactly where it is. Or I can move to the middle, it stays where it is. All right, 2 more big breaths here. And then same thing with that shoulder stretch. So we'll come up to sit and then bend that right leg in. Reach back with the right arm and reach for the right foot. And then turn the body to face the front so that you can open up the shoulder. And then we'll release that leg. And then just swing the legs in front. And we'll just come to sit for a few minutes before going into Shavasana. So we're going to sit for 2 minutes and then we'll end the class in Shavasana. So go ahead and find your height and come to sit on it. And you can lean against a wall for this one. Remember, this is one I'm saying meditation on a wall is amazing. Go ahead and use it. And we're gonna come back exactly to where we started. So we should have a lot more length in our backs now. We worked on that a lot, just lifting up from the back. And we're gonna just put our concentration there. We're not even gonna think about our core. Just think about the back of the body lifting up towards the ceiling, shoulders relaxing down, shoulder tips moving back. And then go ahead and find your ideal position and close your eyes. We're just gonna focus on inhaling and exhaling. Stay there, keep breathing.
We're upstairs, Zena.
And then from there, we're gonna slowly start to open the eyes. And find our way onto our back. So release the whatever height you have. And we're going to find our way on into our Shavasana. And this is where you're gonna end your class. So my suggestion is stay here for a good 10 minutes. I'll keep my camera and the call on for 10 minutes so you feel supported. If you want, you can take your rolled up mat or your blanket and put it under your knees if you're having any lower back pain at all. Otherwise, let's lie completely flat on our backs. Palms up to the ceiling. We're gonna do 2 lion's breaths. So inhale, screw up everything's on your backs. Do this on your backs. I'm gonna show you, but you're gonna be on your backs. You're gonna inhale, scrunch up your face, scrunch up your toes and your fingers, and then we're gonna exhale, tongue out towards the chin, eyes bug out. Okay, so we'll do it. Let's do it 3 times. Ready? Inhale, exhale, inhale, scrunch everything up. Last one, ready? And you're in Shavasana. Completely let go. Shoulders fall down to the floor, palms up towards the ceiling. Legs completely relaxed. Face totally relaxed. And have a wonderful day. Namaste. Thank you for coming. And stay here as long as you can.